All right, welcome to 6G Agenda. I'm your host, Andrew, here with my man Justin Ward on the chords.
Yo.
And we talk about what they want, per usual. As always, I got a special one for you today. We're thinking about, before we leave this GESPR shit behind, we got one more for you. And I'm really excited for it. We're going to end it with 5 altogether. It's going to be good.
Just when we thought we were done with it.
Not quite,
Not
I mean,
quite,
well, here's
dude.
the thing. I knew I wasn't done, and I felt bad because I was leaving people on a cliffhanger about the castle and about North Fox Island.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been digging, and we got enough to break some shit down. It's actually going to be awesome. Hopefully, you guys are excited as we are, but it's dark. Disclaimer, of course, it's not, not for everybody. But yeah, it's our Jesper series. If you aren't familiar, if you're one of the new listeners, you may notice that there's episodes called Jesper, and you may have noticed the theme if you listen to some of them. It's a global elite satanic pedophile ring that we've been kind of doing some pattern recognition along these different situations going on,
Yeah.
and kind of showing that this is kind of a global cult that seems to be tied into everything, and unfortunately tied into a lot of power structures that run our world. So it's crazy. If you haven't heard our other ones, definitely check them out. As you listen to all of them, I believe you'll have a full kind of idea on what we what we're bringing to the table. Without further ado, I do want to mention, check our description, handle, all that good stuff's down there. We got an email if you want to hit us up. Go ahead, leave comments, whatever you'd like. Definitely, follow, rate, share us, all that good stuff. Eric and the fam. We always do a shout out. We want to say thank you for the correction on the comments. I feel like I knew it was Belgium and not Germany, but sometimes you just get mixed up in the moment. But thank you for that. We will be more impeccable as we go along. So yeah, Jesper Part 5. It's going to be about North Fox Island, and we got the Château de Amerois. Ooh, I said that. Okay. And it's dark, and it does connect back into our Detroit case that we kind of talked about, and a little bit of a couple other things we kind of missed during the Detroit case that are adjacent to this situation. It's pretty crazy. It's going to be a deep dive. So hopefully you guys are ready. Let's get to it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So first, I think we should mention Fritz Springmeier's Bloodlines of the Illuminati book. This book right here, it's funny. This guy seems to have done some research, and he came up with a similar conclusion to what we've been hinting at throughout this Jesper series. He has a specific spot in this book where he mentions this castle that we're going to be talking about, the Castle de Amerois. And the castle near Muno, Belgium, he says, known as Mother of Darkness Castle or Castle of the Kings, which is the actual Château de Amerois. People call it Mother of Darkness Castle now because of the stories surrounding it. And we'll get into why. But yeah, it's described as a center for occult practices, mind control, and monarch programming on children by the elite. And you'll notice as you go back through our episodes, if you're new, otherwise our OG listeners know, this is a theme amongst everything. The cults, intelligence agencies, these weird pedophile rings seem to all want to get into the mind control shit too, which is why we say it's all connected. And that's why we say we do, I don't know, kind of pattern recognition more than anything. We don't really theorize as much as we just take information and just show the patterns. We try to leave the theorizing up to you, but we also do give our opinions. Otherwise, yeah. So this was him calling out specifically the Château de Amerois. And as I kind of learn about it, see, it's kind of like our other episode where you kind of have to learn about the Detroit case a little bit more or know about that whenever you read about the Château de Amerois, because there's no information really out there. But the little bit that is out there for that connects real well with the Detroit shit, right?
Yeah.
And there's another guy in Belgium who is a serial killer, killed 12 children, all that stuff, during the same time in the same area as this guy. And he bought another Château de Saturo or something like that. and he buried people that he murdered there. And so these
Fuck.
castles, yeah, these castles seem to have a weird history connection with these people. So I mean, it's going to be about, human hunting, the whole deal. So should we go ahead? Maybe we'll give a quick recap of the Detroit. A lot of heavily censored information with most of this stuff. So whenever you get deep into the Detroit case, you start to recognize what's going on with this. So, oh wait, I'm on the wrong page. My apologies. I got some notes for you. So yeah, the police had plenty of tips about Detroit after he had already raped, done some terrible things with molested, all that.
Mhm.
And so he just kind of keeps doing his thing. He's unemployed. He's an unemployed electrician. We've kind of went over this in the other one, but it's important though. He's an unemployed electrician, and it comes out later that he owns like 7 homes, and he is getting paid $3,000 a month while he's in prison.
Mm.
Later, after he gets in trouble for this, everything that's going on with what we got into. So
He's making
I didn't
three
even know
bands a
this.
month.
Yeah. So whenever we talked about Detroit the last time, I had no idea that this guy is like, first of all, he gets sentenced to 13 years. He
Mm-hmm.
serves 3. And during the 3, he's getting paid $3,000 a month.
What the hell, dude?
I don't know who owed him money or why they owed him money, but I do
Yeah,
know
bro.
this guy was paying off 7 homes unemployed. So obviously he was, he was getting money elsewhere. And he even said he wasn't raping these children. He was getting them for other people.
Mm.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure he
yes.
had something to do with a little bit of this shit, though. You know what I mean? Like he probably minimized it, but I'm sure that
That adds a
that there's
whole nother
something.
thing, dude.
It does. I mean, he killed this guy Weinstein, and Weinstein had a letter. Let me go ahead and pull that up. So Bernard Weinstein, he was an accomplice that was killed by Dutroux,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a letter that named a person Anubis. Apparently, Anubis was the sender, and it requested gifts for a high priestess for a special ceremony, specifically requesting like certain gender aged people. Now, what's weird about this connects into this cult called the cult of Abraxas, right? And so the cult of Abraxas was in Belgium during this exact kind of time. And we'll go ahead, we'll pull up the Irish Time article for you now on the video. So the cult of Abraxas, they had an institute in Belgium, and 150 police and special investigators raided the headquarters of the Institute of Abraxas in Forty de la Marche or something, in the central Belgian city of Charleroi, which is right next to what we're talking about here. And the television showed police taking away bags of papers, video cassettes, and even a whole refrigerator. It said that they also took away black magic ritual implements and human skulls. So I mean, there's some weird shit going on
Mm.
here, right? But the reason why I bring this up is the letter signed Anubis, an ancient Egyptian god and assumed name of the high priest of Abraxas, the cult, right? So this guy receives a letter who's killed by Dutroux, right? From the Abraxas cult. Now, let's get a little bit into this castle. This is why this matters, because you're probably like, well, what does it matter? Okay, the castle, Château d'Amerois, had 360 windows, 360, which is the number of Abraxas. If you know anything about Gnosticism and Abraxas and their symbology, they're very heavy on this stuff. So, you don't got to take my word for it. You can even look it up because it's kind of like the deity representing the sun, because these are pagan sun god worshippers that also happen to always be satanic, which is why I always tie in the two together. But anyways,
Yeah, there is hella windows.
dude, 360 windows, but also it's a castle. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I guess it's got to have a lot, right?
Gotta have a lot that like that natural light, I guess.
But yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to find this what it had. Okay, so there's 365 skies and virtues in this cult of Abraxas in their beliefs. So that's where that comes from. It's actually 360. I believe that whoever wrote this, because I've actually read in like the legit like Freemasonic shit, and they say 360 because the old number before was 360, and then they split it up into 365.
Mm.
But it used to be actually like 360. So it's weird that they do that because even the castle, yeah, because even the castle has 360 windows because they know. Now, who owned this castle? Well, a long time ago, the family that we know today to be the royal family owned that castle. Not when they were the royal family, but whenever they were living in Belgium. Because you have to remember the royal family was related to Vlad the Impaler. They self-admittedly say that. So we know that that kind of comes from that area so if you follow their bloodline, they actually did own this place for a while. It ends up being sold to a family who's very, very important, in my opinion. Uh, the Solve family. And the Solve family is the one in charge of fluoridating our water,
Whoa,
which is kind of
dude.
crazy, dude. It's kind of crazy. Okay. So, and they were known for having a lot of parties at this castle. Now, if you've ever seen Eyes Wide Shut, that's the type of shit we're talking about here, right? Like
Yeah.
masquerade, robed balls, people go missing and die. It actually gets a lot worse than that, and we'll get into it. But because when we get into the eyewitness the eyewitness testimonies, rather, yeah, man, it gets dark, dude. There was some fucked up shit that happened, way worse than Eyes Wide Shut, and I'm sure that that's the shit that they took out of the movie. Remember how they took a chunk out of it?
Yeah.
I bet you it was some real shit like what we're talking about, like human hunting. You end up finding out how the model went missing in the movie, I bet. But in the movie, they just make it the way they ended up coming out. The model's just missing. But I
Yeah.
bet you in his original cut, just my conjecture here, I bet you there was some kind of like showing how they got rid of, you know what I mean? What they do.
Wonder if we can ask him one day.
He's dead.
That'd be cool though.
What are you gonna do? A seance and talk to him?
Yeah, dude. Bring him back, dude.
Yeah. So there's a lot of accounts and rumors of witches, ritual abuse, children, global elite cabal of pedophiles, satanic pedophiles. I mean, that's exactly what our series is about. Hey, real quick, don't go. We want to tell you about our first sponsor. We're pretty excited about them. It's Dubby. It's an energy powder or energy drink that you make yourself. Comes out to like $1. I mean, me and my boy Justin know how expensive Red Bulls are. I'm still buying them.
Yeah.
They're fucking pricey,
Every
about
morning.
$5 a day, dude. I mean, I know you're drinking them because we used to work together, and my boy would be drinking them all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, this is a good way to, this is gonna help your pocket, man. I'm telling you. So, about $1 a day, you pour this little powder in there, you put it into your water or preferred beverage, probably water. Be weird if you put it in a Sprite. 150 milligrams per serving, so you can even cut that in half if you're used to a little less. It's made with coffee, fruit extract, no maltodextrin, artificial dyes, or sugars. I mean, this shit is pretty healthy. Go use our promo code 10% off, 6G agenda, all caps. And yeah, if you're feeling like shit right now, go get that shit because it's gonna make you feel right. You cut that shit in half, turn it into a 2 month supply, $30 for 2 months. Fuck that $30 a month shit. I'm helping you with a hack. You're welcome. W is a clean energy drink that is made to give you no crash, jitters, or angst like other energy drinks. Let's go. Boom. So as I said before, there was plenty of tips that came out with the Detroit situation, and he still was kind of getting away with it for a long time. The only time he actually got caught was whenever he got caught red-handed,
Yeah.
kidnapping children. There was no, to really put it in perspective, the police went to his house because his mother called saying that he was doing the things he was doing, Mark Detroit. They go to his house. They hear screams upon getting to his house. They go inside. They say that, oh, the screams probably came from outside. They never try to go down into the dungeon and go through this door that leads to it.
Yeah.
And they leave. And those two girls ended up dying that were there that day. And so
Fuck.
I say this to say, it turns out that there was police officers that were actually a part of this cult of Abraxas. So it starts to kind of add up and make
Really ain't
sense,
no
right?
limit.
Mm-hmm. And then there was also a man who gave a testimony who used to be a police officer, and there was priest that came and talked to him, and this priest kind of told him about what was. I can't remember if it was a priest. Okay, no, because there was hold on. There was a ex-NATO guy that came and talked to him. And this NATO guy says, I was invited to this party. I didn't like what I see. I couldn't stomach it. So he confides in this ex-police type guy. They call him like the Minister of Justice, right?
Hmm.
And so this guy, he talks to him and he kind of tells him what he saw there. And this is a NATO guy, is my point, right? So you have a NATO base like right here in Belgium.
Yeah.
So there's a theory that like there's a kind of network of Illuminati people in Belgium. Now I'm going to back up everything I'm saying right now. Are you ready? I got this right now. I'm ready for this because I really packaged this as well as I could for everybody so it's coherent. Are you ready? So there's a room with 1,000 points of light. George Bush. If my listeners don't remember, I will kindly ask Justin to pull up the clip of George Bush Sr. 1,000 points of light speech. And he mentions 1,000 points of light. We know George Bush Sr. was also a Skull and Bones member. And what I'm pointing out is that the Illuminati is part of what? The New World Order, right? Well, who gave the speech about a New World Order? The same guy we're about to show you right now. So I'm trying to point out that this guy who talked about 1,000 points of light, which happens to be a room inside of this castle that we're speaking about. Here we go. We're going to tie it together. Let's play this video.
I've spoken of 1,000 points of light, of all the community organizations that are spread like stars throughout the nation doing good. We will work hand in hand, encouraging, sometimes leading, sometimes being led, rewarding.
All right, cool. You can go out of there. Go to 1,000 points of light, New World Order as well. Or yeah, New World Order speech. Because we just want to show just like these two together.
Are drawn together in more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind, peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
So I say we...
All right, cool. They also cut out the part where he says we're the strong nations or we're the weak are protected from the strong. And I thought that was a really weird thing to say, but whatever, because that can mean a lot of things, especially where he was talking about the stars scattered across the nations and everything. Yeah. That's the way that the Freemasons refer to themselves whenever they talk about each other, whenever they talk about themselves, they're the stars. Right? The sun, moon, and stars. So you have the father, the mother, and the Freemasons. The what would you call it? Not the church, but I guess you would call it like essentially that the sons, right? Mm-hmm. The sons of light is what they call themselves. So very, very symbolic talk that I'm doing right now. But what I'm trying to point out is these people that are running our countries are speaking in weird ways, right? To where even when I try to explain it, I sound crazy, but they're the ones talking like that, right? But it's also connected to a castle that has a room of 1,000 lights and it has 360 windows. And then there's Cult of Abraxas right there in the same city, connected to Dutroux, who's procuring children for high priestesses. And then this castle happens to be called Mother of Darkness. Sorry, man. It seems like there's some deeper shit going on.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, I mean, this is like a mystical area too, right here by this castle, so even the woods themselves, they say, go all the way back to like old lores and mythical tales and shit. So it's supposed to be like a really esteemed area too, where they've done these rituals forever.
Yeah.
So these victims, they were made to do a lot of different things. All right. I mean, they were made to kill, too, right? Like they didn't just have to do things like get things done. They did things too, to also instill that trauma, because as we've talked about in this show, you create the disassociation within a traumatized child, and then you can program them to kind of do your bidding, as sick as it is. But I mean, we're talking like these guys would come and, do snuff films. And there's one girl who gave a lot of testimony because there's something called the X-Files for Belgium. And I'll give one example where they talked about these guys had a dog and they had to hold this girl down after they assaulted her and everything. Then they had the dog eat her.
Holy fuck.
From down there up. Sick, bro. And then they're laughing the whole time. Now, here's the thing, though. One girl gave this account, and then there's another girl, X4 or whatever, who wasn't apparently like in the same room. This is like corroborated stories without them being near each other, where she talked about the same thing. And there's many, that's one example of many very, very sick examples of what the type of shit these dudes did. So it seems to be, if you've ever seen the movie Hostel, that there is an elite group of people that probably have access to pay to play situations where they can go to places and pay for, involvement or watching of the most fucked up things, like Hostel, the movie, like people would go there, get kidnapped, and then they would, they would end up some dentist. He's like, wants to kill somebody, some rich guy, a dentist or whatever. And he just wants to like kill somebody some type of way. It's called Hostel, STEL. You never seen that movie, Hostel?
Dude.
Dude, it's messed up. Like, you should watch it. I mean, just to get an idea of what I'm talking about. I mean, these kids, they go to like Amsterdam or some shit, and then they end up getting kidnapped and they get like strapped to a chair, and all these guys in these different rooms. It's kind of okay. So, like the red light district where you go into like these whorehouses where each room has a different person like getting fucked or doing some weird BDSM stuff.
Yeah.
That's what this was, but it was for murder stuff. So you would walk down the halls and like one person would be in here doing something, another person be in here killing another person a different way. And these people were all like rich, elite people. And they had something, it was a bloodhound. They had a bloodhound tattooed on them, so they knew who each other were.
That's fucked.
Like they were a part of this club. Movie? Dude, really?
Yeah.
Get the fuck. Okay, dude, that makes me really believe something's going on. I don't think Quentin Tarantino made this. Directed by Eli Roth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess there's what is this then?
I'm not entirely sure. Eli Roth, he said that he had heard of people paying $10,000 to go do stuff like this over in like Slovakia. And so that's what gave him the idea for this movie.
Oh,
so there's real life shit that gave him the idea.
Produced by Quentin Tarantino. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it allows people to torture and kill others. I mean, it seems, I don't know, man. So yeah. I'm pretty sure that is it as far as the connections with the Detroit and all that. I mean, there's a little bit more. So there's something called the Pink Ballet, right? A lot of eyewitness testimonies talked about the Pink Ballet and how a lot of elite people, politicians, businessmen, were even videotaped being accomplices of the Pink Ballet, which is ritual torture and murder done. And there was hundreds of testimony pages thrown out about all this. They got rid of it. Damn. So, nothing comes out, right? So there's one girl, which is Regina Loof, who I keep mentioning. This is the one about the dog thing. She said that she's watched, children get stripped down to their shoes and then told to run. And then they got hunted down by men and dogs. So there's one girl who got away. Allegedly, she gets away. And she had a whole testimony about what happened. She's the one who corroborated the dog story with the Regina Loof. So it's insane, dude. It really is. And they keep talking about castles. My point is, all these women in the Detroit case, they talk about castles like they were and they describe these castles in the interior of some of these rooms to a T. Well, if you go look up these castles that we're talking about, there is no public photos of it. If you go there, there is barbed wire, there's tripwire, there's cameras, hidden cameras. You don't get to go. Yeah, like you don't. And then the people who own the castle, instead of being like, hey, the rumors are crazy, they don't say anything. They don't tell you you're nuts, and they don't laugh it off. And they don't say it's not real. And as a matter of fact, they've denied National Geographic from coming and checking out the home because it's a historical castle. So National Geographic and Discovery Channel has reached out to go, do videos about it or whatever, and they've said no. So my point is, there's no public interior knowledge of what the place looks like. But these children corroborated what some of these rooms look like. But they threw out the testimony out.
Why?
Because these guys in the top, we're talking elite people, were involved in this. So again, like the Epstein situation, we see the craziest shit people get away with. It really is nuts. So anyway, there's the connections with those. Now I'm going to get into a little bit more of the castle stuff too, because I believe there's more I'm leaving. So yeah, Belgian police discovered evidence of black mass, sacrifice to gods with human and animals, satanic feasts, infants and goats slaughtered, like on a table while people had sex, like in the room, and watched it. Like just weird shit, dude. Like forced cannibalism. And yeah, again with the dark witches, high priestess. That's the terminology that's kind of weird because they mention it with the Château case, and then the castle is called Mother of Darkness, and allegedly there's like women that can't leave there in that castle, and these might be the priests. Who knows, dude? I mean, there's a lot of rumors. Now, I don't live in Belgium, so I don't know all the rumors even. But what I do know is that what's out there, which they scrub shit every time that shit gets out there. So it's really hard. I mean, all that's out there is just really what we've kind of went over. I mean, it's hard to find more. There's a great 2-hour episode of this dude that does the paranormal files and conspiracy files, and he went to this castle, and he like this one and another castle that was connected to it because there was a guy named Fernese or something that I mentioned earlier, who was also a serial killer in that area, that also had a castle that he was connected to, that probably was connected to all this as well. So it's a lot of shit. And by the way, 20 people mysteriously died that were connected to the Château case, that mysteriously died, that may have been on their way to give testimony to the police or whatever. So they completely scrubbed this situation. So yeah, it's pretty nuts, man. But the human hunting part is the part that really gets me. And it's so crazy to me that I just was like, man, dude, I'm trying to see if there's any evidence of that. And really, mainly all there is eyewitness testimony.
Yeah.
And one girl who says she literally got away after being a part of that exact thing, which is human hunting. And you have to remember, these people are in the occult of Abraxas, aka Gnostic cult. We could go to Cult of Abraxas tab we have pulled up. So the cult of Abraxas is a Gnostic cult. We talk about Gnosticism on the show very often. And it's this idea that, the demiurge and Saturn being the highest of the demiurge, which is why there's a lot of Saturnalia worship. And so this kind of shows that these people believe that they can become God on earth. And when you believe you're God on earth, you hunt people like they're animals. And that's why this is the craziest shit to me. So the first thing, whenever I was looking this up, I didn't get very much about this Château de Amerois or whatever. But I did get the Château de Sade, which is the other place when it comes to the human hunting. That was one of the first things that came up whenever I was looking up like the different castles.
Yeah.
So there's a guy there, Sade, that was notorious for extreme libertine practices, including orgies, kidnapping, and torture-themed sexual experimentation. It's exactly like the place we were just talking about, the other castle. I've got like 10 castles I can name off that are all connected to each other somehow by people. There's people that are connected to each other that then connect all these castles, and then there's rumors around every castle about the same thing. So I'm just saying, dude, this is a network of people.
Yeah, dude, and god damn, who would have thought, dude? All the castle goers.
Yeah. So this guy Sade's writing, 120 Days of Sodom Justine, features simulated hunts and aristocrats engaging in predatory acts. But these were often philosophical allegories. But I believe that these were fantasies that he probably acted out. And then maybe he was like, I'm going to write down what happened as fiction. But really, it's, reliving the memories.
Yeah.
So there are local legends, though, of peasants disappearing and being hunted by the guests of this guy. And witness testimonies from court cases accuse him of imprisoning and abusing servants and prostitutes. But of course, as always, there's no official evidence to really corroborate anything. Just crazy people who all have crazy stories. It's usually what it's chalked up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, this human safari style shit might be real.
That is so fucked to think about.
No, I know. So wait, let me get out. Okay. Have you heard about any of this crazy shit? Like seen a movie like that? I feel like there's a show recently, it was True Detective or Dexter, that had a dude who did something like this. And he was like, go ahead, run.
Yeah,
And then he
yeah.
hunts them.
I think we brought it up a couple episodes. I think it was like episode 3 or the last episode of GESPR.
When I teased this one, I think I brought that up.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about the dude in the Dexter New Blood, because he would take the girls who were traveling or whatever, and then he would tell them run, and then they would get far enough away, and he would shoot them in the back.
Wow.
But he shot them in the back because he didn't want to like fuck them up, because he wanted to preserve their bodies in this little Barbie doll box. It was
That's gotta be
weird.
fucked up. That's gotta be fucked up for these, victims that they watch this shit because it's like real and they're like, wow, they're just making a show about something I went through. Like,
it's very fucked.
This guy Craig Sawyer and other whistleblowers along with him have alleged that trafficking networks where wealthy clients pay for extreme acts like hunting scenarios he had witnessed. We're gonna skip past the Dutroux. Murder tourism in Eastern Europe is also a thing. So post-Soviet black market, there's rumors of murder vacations, which is the Hostel movie I talked about. Romania, Ukraine, and Russia. These often involved trafficking victims and wealthy Westerners allegedly paying for anything goes experiences, including the lethal ones, which if you guys watch the movie Hostel, you will know, dude, what I'm talking about. Like, I'm sorry, but why does Hollywood make a movie about this? Who comes up with this? Is this just creativity or is this somebody telling a story, like I said earlier, and calling it fiction? Allegedly, some cartels even allow paying tourists to come down there for wealthy clients and torture. And actually, rather, they can witness torture and killings as part of experience packages, which is weird. That is a wild kink. So yeah, sorry, I was looking at what Justin had pulled out there. You're gonna pull it up. So anyway, go ahead, pull it up.
So Russian luxury yachts offer pirate hunting cruises.
So they could go kill to go kill pirates.
They take wealthy motherfuckers out to go kill Somali pirates.
So they go on armed private yachts off the Somali coast to go kill Somalians that may be pirates. That is crazy. So that's what the Russians are doing. And meanwhile, America is just funneling them to Minnesota so they could take over that state. Oh, man. Anyway, so a little bit more about the castle that we've kind of talked about a lot. Okay. So this castle was built in 1874, around that time, in 1877, by Prince Philip of Belgium. He's the brother of King Leopold II, which is crazy. Because that was the Congo, that was the guy involved in the Congo crazy shit. Anyway, they're pretty fucked up. So the royal family origin that I mentioned earlier later sold it off to who I mentioned, the Sale family. And all during this time, you had rumored dark, whispers, let's call them, of multiple witness, elite hunting parties, child sex trafficking, and ritual abuse, all that stuff. But there was multiple witness testimonies from the ex-dossiers we described earlier about private estates in the Ardennes, which is where the Château d'Amerois is, where children and adults were hunted for sport. While the ex-witnesses didn't always name Château d'Amerois specifically, the description matches it. Heavily guarded in the woods, noble ownership, and the term hunting parties often appears literal with rifles or psychological torture games, which is a big part of this because we've talked a lot about how a lot of these rituals and mind control stuff really just comes down to torture and trauma. And then, for fun, really, because a lot of these people that are doing this at one point had this done to them because these people, man, they'll have kids and they'll breed these kids to be the same way by doing shit to them while they're kids. It's so fucking, it's sick.
Yeah.
So anyway, black mass ceremonies in the chapel, mass gatherings with hunting dogs, and victims being drugged, stripped, and released into the woods were all reported by these witnesses. But yeah, I wish that we could get a little bit more like pictures of what the actual castle looked like. I bet you that would really call out how dark. I mean, I bet you their furnishings have to be awesome, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's mostly it for the Château d'Amerois. I mean, I don't want to get too crazy deep with all the. I mean, we kind of did, like we talked about all the things that went on. There are other castles like the Mirwart Merwart Castle, which is also near here with royal architectural links and black site claims online, which is essentially the same shit that goes on. You got the royal castle of Siergnon. You have the Montsegur. I wish I could pronounce all these. They're all French or Belgium. What does Belgian speak? Do they speak Belgian? Yeah, they do. That was a dumb question. Yo, Eric and the fam. Come through, dog. Let me know, dude.
Dumbass.
You know what I'm saying? So here's the thing. All these castles that I'm about to name off real quick, like I always do, is because I always like to rattle all the things off connected so people can look up those two if you want. But all these places have weird connections to each other and the evil torture that goes on there. So you have the Château de Brissac in the Loire Valley. It was nicknamed the Giant of the Loire because of its massive height. But apparently there's a green lady that haunts the halls. But the reputation nowadays is that it's just mostly haunted. We also have the Château de Montségur that I couldn't say earlier, a major Cathar stronghold during the Albigensian Crusade. I got it out. Dutch. They speak Dutch in Belgium. Yo, let's go. I should have waited and seen if Eric and the fam had that. You know what I mean? And seeing if he could hook us up with
I was
the
too
answer.
curious. I would have felt like an idiot, dude.
Yeah. Often linked to secret knowledge. I mean, yeah, dude, all these. Okay, fuck the castles. Here's what we're really getting to. This shit went on in Belgium. This shit might be going on in America too. Because you can't forget we got to get to the North Fox Island. And the North Fox Island shit is pretty fucking dark because it wasn't even that long. I mean, the Dutroux case was in the 90s. This was in America in the 70s. So, I mean, that's not long ago. So, North Fox Island. When you look it up, South Fox Island might pull up. That's what happened for us. It's very odd. It's almost like they don't want you talking about North Fox Island. But it's part of the Fox Islands in Lake Michigan, off the coast of the Leelanau Peninsula. In the late 1960s and early 70s, it was owned by Francis D. Shelden. You may have heard his name. He was a wealthy businessman, real estate developer, and a philanthropist. Shelden had ties to the elite Michigan circles, including the University of Michigan, and reportedly moved in high-status social networks, as they always do. But here's this cover story for this place. There's something called the Brother Paul's Nature Camp. And Shelden created this charitable camp, supposedly for underprivileged boys. It was pitched as an outdoor education program, fishing, hiking, wildlife studies, kind of like your average Boy Scouts. But behind it, there was a lot more of a dark agenda. In reality, evidence suggests it was a front for child sexual abuse and pornography production. Boys, often from troubled backgrounds or foster care, were flown into the island and sometimes photographed and filmed. And the broader network that was involved with this Could have been the Oakland County child killer that we talked about in another episode. A series of unsolved child murders in the Detroit suburbs. You also have the North American Man-Boy Love Association. Who knows what that has to do with it?
Fuck.
I hope that's not a real association. And of course, the Finders Cult, Franklin Scandal. All of our GESPR shit kind of comes together with this episode right here. It's this idea that these elites take these people to these places that are designated for their festivities, and weird shit happens. And we know that our presidents and powerful people in our Western culture are into this shit because of the Bohemian Grove, North Fox Island, the Franklin Scandal, Epstein, Diddy. I'm sorry, I just named off like half a dozen things. There's a lot of evidence, in my opinion, that this is going on. But yeah, so the ring allegedly traded images internationally using both mail order and underground distribution. This was before the internet, so it was organized and coordinated. And the key figures involved in this was Francis Shelden, as I mentioned, Gerald Richards, an associate who ran summer programs and acted as a kind of recruiter for boys, later convicted of a child pornography charge. And Brother Paul, nicknamed for one of the camp's operators, possibly a pseudonym for multiple adults involved. That's the key part, because again, with this, nobody really gets in trouble that's actually involved. And so Brother Paul becomes the alias for multiple people that are involved. Kind of like with the Detroit case, they find like 25 different strands of hair, all different DNA in the basement of the dungeon, and they only charge Mark Detroit.
Yeah.
That's the shit I'm talking about. It's like, oh, so you just got your fall guy and you're going to leave the rest. So quickly, we'll go over the links to the Oakland County child killer. Law enforcement suspicions include that they believed that the OCCK murders were tied to the same pedophile network connected to the North Fox Island. So these investigators started to uncover some shit, and they're like, what's going on in North Fox Island? It looks like all this shit is tied to people that go there.
Yeah.
Chris Bush, a known pedophile and son of General Motors executive, was considered a suspect in the OCCK. He had pornographic material and ties to people in the network. And some theories suggest that the killings may have been a way to silence victims or potential witnesses to the island's activities. So those murders might have just been the cover up to the scandal. Yeah. So the escape in silence, Sheldon's flight, whenever these charges were looming in 1976, sold his assets and escaped to where? Europe. Because that's where they get down and they don't got to worry about it. You can come to the Château de la Mar.
Yeah. Get yourself a castle.
It's fucked up. The investigation fizzled after his departure. Many cases were reportedly went missing, and of course, as always, they were sealed and redacted. And survivals and journalists have claimed cover-ups and protect high-ranking individuals. And by the way, whenever survivors and journalists and investigators say this shit, you don't go with the official story. You start digging into what they have to say.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like the way you actually do research, it's one thing like if all the investigators, like maybe they paid them off and they still all went with it, but hey, what can you do? Like you don't have any reason to not believe it, right?
Right.
But when half of the people involved are one way and then you got one person, it's like, nope, the mainstream story is going to be this. You can't go with that shit. Fuckery.
I think when too many people are digging as deep as they are and they're all saying the same shit, kind of got to raise an eyebrow at it, you know? You're like,
I'm curious. Yeah, dude, I'm with you. So North Fox Island fits a disturbing pattern. There's a remote location with philanthropic cover. As always, I've said this many times. All these crazy motherfuckers in this crazy cabal that run this world, they always hide behind philanthropy. It's really genius and disgusting. They use charity fronts and recruit vulnerable children. High-level connections that appear to have interfered with justice. And it parallels cases like we mentioned, Epstein, Franklin Credit Union scandal, and the Finders Cult. But the forgotten story is that despite the horror, North Fox Island is barely mentioned in mainstream history. Most coverage came from Barry King, the father of the OCCK victim, Timothy King, local Michigan reporters. So that's pretty much where the only place you can find some information about it that hasn't been suppressed or scrubbed. And independent investigators and true crime writers such as us. But yeah, I mean, fuck, that's real shit. Because like we're just crowdsourcing information to bring to you, so you don't have to do the work.
Right.
So, survivor statements and investigators whispered of human hunting that may have occurred on the North Fox Island. They were taken to isolated locations, chased, hunted, or terrorized for sport, forced into games that simulated hunting, often with real weapons. And in Belgium's Marc Dutroux case, as we mentioned, or just like Belgium's Marc Dutroux case, there was plenty of testimony that just kind of got thrown out. But yeah, dude, Project Monarch, which by the way is a completely off the books when it comes to MK Ultra. All you have when it comes to Project Monarch is people's testimonies that they were involved in it. I believe that shit is probably the most slept on on purpose project that they've done. I think that they put out a lot of projects. They gave us a lot of projects that they did because they don't want us fucking with Monarch, because Monarch might be the one that they really use the most. And that is this idea of trauma for mind programming to use in their whole life, like as a puppet, like a Britney Spears or like a Justin Timberlake. I don't know, like people like Disney kids, right?
Yeah.
That's why people always are like, why are they so fucked up? Well, that's because they've been fucking disassociated since a young age and they've been programmed to be a certain way. And, after a while, I feel like it starts to kind of fuck with them and wear off, or they just end up fucking not being able to disassociate and have a split personality. It starts to merge together or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something
Like
weird definitely happens.
I feel like the compartmentalization doesn't work as well as time goes on. So like in the beginning, they can be one person and then be traumatized or whatever here. But then as they get older, I feel like that fake person that they put out, the facade, they just can't hide and it just merges together.
Yeah.
That's really what I think goes on. So there's only air and boat access to this island. Planes and boats were privately controlled by Shelden and his associates, giving total discretion over who came and went, just like Epstein. So it's like, once again with the pattern recognition, we got to watch for it. Remember Dumbo or Pinocchio, where the fucking dude, he's like, take him to the island, and they never come back. The dude with the cigar, it's like, dude, he's talking about taking children to an island where they never come back in a fucking kids Disney movie. I mean, when did Pinocchio come out, dude? Like that really came out.
Yeah, the original.
Put it right in front of your face, dude. Yeah, dude, look up island boat clip Pinocchio.
1940.
1940, they were talking about doing this. You guys understand that in 1940, they already were talking about islands where they take children and do shit to them. I mean, that is fucking outrageous. I thought it was going to say like this 70s or something. Pinocchio, the island of the Lost Boys, is actually called Pleasure Island. It's a place where boys are lured with promises of endless fun and freedom, but are ultimately transformed into donkeys and sold into slavery. They're turned into a piece of ass, a donkey. They're turned into a piece of ass and sold into slavery. No, that's what they're saying, dude. That is fucking sick, bro. Dude, hey, this is sad, man. This segment serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of reckless behavior and the dangers of unchecked temptation. And by the way, they're saying, oh, this child shouldn't have been tempted to come have fun. Whenever at the end of the day, these fucking adults shouldn't be so damn sick that they're doing this to children. You see what I'm saying? So they're even victim blaming. They're like, oh, this is a lesson about being tempted, about going to have fun. I mean, the whole thing all around is fucked up, dude, when you look at it that way. When you look at it that way, that is sick.
How can you even explain that nowadays? It's like, whoa,
dude,
what was like
you
the
can't
inspiration
explain
behind this?
You can't explain this.
He's like,
Make sure that this is make sure this is like on the video. I want people to see that.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
on
just
there.
so ridiculous.
It's on there.
That is fucking ridiculous, dude. We're clipping this too. Like might be the fucking gem of the episode right here. It's just the fact that this was in 1940.
Yeah.
The island of Lost Boys was actually called Pleasure Island.
Yeah, dude.
Where they were turned into donkeys, aka an ass, and sold in slavery. That is crazy.
Yep.
All right. A little gremlin up there stomping around. So yeah, this stays buried mainly because there's no bodies, no witnesses willing to testify in court. And well, many of the witnesses were foster children or runaways who really weren't taken seriously or weren't aggressively investigated, which again, by design. High level protection, of course, like always, in this weird pattern denial that seems to always go on where authorities tend to isolate abuse cases to like the lone offender rather than looking for an organized network that could be around. It's very weird that they do that, especially when they're so good at bringing RICO charges to rappers, right? But but they can't fucking figure out if there's a network of pedophiles.
Yeah.
Weird. Maybe because they're all rich. Anyway. Yeah, crazy, guys. Crazy. So this all could literally tie together. The McMartin preschool, where they had the tunnel underground, children being taken to remote locations. You had the Franklin scandal in Nebraska. We're just kind of wrapping everything up from all the GESPR episodes, where victims' accounts describe forced participation in sadistic game-like scenarios for wealthy spectators. And of course, the international snuff film investigations, like the Finder's Cult and all this shit. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something going on. You know what's weird about the snuff film shit? Those have never made it out. Like, there's been investigators who say, like, yeah, I think I found something that's pretty fucked up. And people will even maybe get arrested, like one person, an isolated individual, like always. But they'll never, like, put it out there to show, like, yeah, these people are really out here doing this, you know? It's crazy. But there has been like proven snuff film stuff like that, you know, in like Vietnam, some guy, he was like, people were paying him to like come see, you know, for him to record, or he made them pay to like for recordings that he would just kill people. It's weird, dude. It's weird, dude. It's crazy world, guys. You guys got to watch out, man. But yeah, I'll tell you what, we're done with GESPR. I want you guys to know, if you guys are new to the show, this is not the show necessarily, but we've touched on the idea that there's an ancient cabal, a cult, if you will, a secret society that kind of guides the world. And over the years, it's been the global bankers, the Knights Templars, the Rothschilds now, and the Orsinis then. And they're the ones really at their core involved with all this. And they tend to always have this weird child sacrifice, satanic pedophilia. And it's global because they run the world and they're elite. So it's like this weird thing where I'm like, we got to break down the connections with the intelligence, royal families, satanic rituals, and the pedophile rings going on. And you know what? I hope you all agree. I think we did a decent job. We brought them all together. I think it all makes sense now. If you listen to them all, please let me know if I could bring you anything else regarding this topic. I've kind of expended my attention on it. I'm over it. I'm ready to bring some more fire shit. I've been looking up some more stuff. So yeah, you know, you guys let me know what you want to hear about next. I got a few things coming down the pike. You know, we could talk current events on the next chill pod. There's some weird shit going on. Weird shit, guys.
Always weird shit going on. But yeah,
I know,
maybe
man.
Maybe we could, when we get done with this GESPR stuff now, where
We're done.
we can bring it maybe a little less dark.
It's not gonna be dark, you know what I mean? We're gonna keep it less dark, right? But also, like, you guys gotta at some point, you guys gotta hear the dark part too, because it's like, look, man, at the core of it, these are the motherfuckers that are our enemy. You know what I'm saying? That are out here that happen to have very powerful positions. And when you're wondering why the world looks like it does, well, they're shaping it.
I know some of our homies who listen out there, they like the dark shit.
Yeah. I know some people are digging it hard.
Yeah,
And that's
man.
cool, dude. I mean, we'll find some more dark topics if you ever find any. I used to think like really dark topics were like reptilians that like would fucking, turn into people and shit like that. But boy, does it get fucking darker out there. It really does.
Yeah.
But I would love to talk about, recent stuff going on in our next one. We got, I'm just going to throw it out here as a teaser. For a little bit, they deleted the habeas corpus out of the Constitution, off of the White House. If you don't know what that is, habeas corpus essentially lets you petition. It's your right to go to court.
Yeah.
So your right to go to court for anything you could be brought charges upon, they like deleted it off the White House website. Then they said it was an accident. And I could show you a video of Stephen Miller, the guy who's responsible for this, saying it's an accident. And I can also show you a video of him saying that we need to get rid of habeas corpus. So do you think it was an accident? I'm curious. Because I don't know if you guys know, but they also just did the home base law or the home law or whatever the fuck in DC. It's just weird shit, guys. I don't know. I'd love to talk about it, but hey, I'm not going to get too deep in on it now. I think they're stripping our rights away. So keep your eyes out. But hey, this has been another little episode of GESPR, the final one. It's only fitting that we did 5 episodes of GESPR when we're talking about the satanic pedophile ring, because the satanic church has 5 initiation rites. So we did it. Fuck yeah, dude. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Please follow, like, share, spread the love. Later.